So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has been a week filled with important developments on the trade rumor front, along with quite a few head coaches coming under fire, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is a skill-based, real money, daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 to 6 players and guess if they will hit more or less than their projections, and if you get it right, you can win up to 25 times your original entry. Obviously, we're all basketball fans here, but PrizePicks has almost every sport you can think of available to choose from and play. To add to the fun, they also offer frequent bonuses, discounts, and weekly promotions such as Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday, plus so many more specialty free spaces to watch for throughout the year, so you don't want to miss those. I personally will be playing Trae Young to score over 26.5 points, Scotty Barnes to score over 20.5 points, and Michael Porter Jr. to knock down over 2.5 threes for tonight's slate of games. To sign up, go down to the link in the description of the video and use promo code REFERENCE when you sign up to get a deposit match bonus of up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Mythologist, and he says that Steve Kerr should be fired because, despite his outstanding accomplishments with the Warriors, his lack of trust in the team's young talent and his stubbornness when it comes to sticking by the veteran talent on the team is causing their downfall. This has been, without any shred of a doubt, a disaster of a year so far for the Golden State Warriors. They have a losing record, currently sitting in 10th place in the Western Conference. Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins have both been having the worst years of their careers at the same time. Draymond Green is just now reinstated after serving a 12-game suspension for being a psychopath, and yet, through it all, Steve Kerr has been very clearly reluctant to put his trust in the young talent he has on the roster, which has resulted in leaks to the media getting out about how fed up all of these young players are. Jonathan Kuminga, quote, has lost faith in Steve Kerr and no longer believes that Kerr will allow him to reach his full potential, according to NBA insider Shams Charania. Another report came out saying that Moses Moody is frustrated with his inconsistent role on the team, and whenever there's smoke like this, there's usually a pretty big fire going on behind the scenes. The frustration really settles in during games like the one they had a few days ago against the Denver Nuggets, where Jonathan Kuminga had a really strong start to the game, scoring 16 points in 18 minutes of time on the court. But then Kerr inexplicably benched him for the final 18 minutes of the game, and surprise, surprise, the Warriors lost that game. In the biggest matchups, Steve Kerr still absolutely has a bad habit of putting all of his trust in the core veterans down the stretch, regardless of how poor they are playing. Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins have shot this team out of countless games already this year, and they, more often than not, still get the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Steve Kerr needs to be fired because he's clearly a proven winner at this level, but I do agree with most of the criticism of him regarding his rotations and his unfair treatment of the promising young talent. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from CMoney, and he says that the Lakers need to fire Darvin Ham too. So I guess today's episode is one filled with fans being frustrated with their coaches, and honestly, I kind of get it. We spent the entire last segment discussing the Warriors' issues with how they're being run and what led to their disaster of a year to this point, but the Lakers are in even worse shape at the moment, sitting one spot behind the Warriors in the Western Conference standings at 11th place. Most of the core on this team is the same group that made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals last season, so you can understand why everyone is so mad over there. After a recent loss, LeBron James opted out of speaking to the media after the game, and then the very next day, reports came out about growing frustrations with Coach Ham in the locker room, so you can definitely take a wild guess at where those leaks came from. And honestly, I can't even say I disagree with it, because it hasn't felt like guys have been put into positions to succeed. After another upsetting loss podcasts this week, Darvin Ham used injuries as an excuse for their recent losing streak, and then in a separate interview, Austin Reaves said that they can't be using injuries as an excuse because they have more than enough talent to win, which felt like a bit of a shot at his coach. What I have a problem with regarding the Lakers' game plan is that they've tried way too hard to build a defensive identity, prioritizing clearly flawed players as a result, and it's crippled their offense. Cam Reddish is a staple in the starting lineup despite being a subpar shooter as he has been his entire career. Rui Hachimura has been a league average shooter at best. Jared Vanderbilt cannot shoot the ball to save his life, hitting just 7% of his threes this year. Jackson Hayes is a non-factor from deep, and so on. It also doesn't help that Austin Reaves has had a down shooting year after being thrust into a bigger role on the team, and D'Angelo Russell got benched for his struggles defensively despite being the team's best shooter. The lack of spacing on the court is suffocating LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and it's a result of too many lineups with non-shooters and guys simply underperforming, making this a pretty tough spot to be in. I get the feeling that the Lakers will end up being very active at the trade deadline again, and Darvin Ham will see out the rest of the season based on the results that happen from there, but we'll just have to wait and see. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from MC, and he says that Trae Young is the next star that will demand a trade. The Hawks are basically the Eastern Conference equivalent of the two teams we already discussed in today's video, because their year could not be going much worse too. They're also in 11th place in the Eastern Conference standings right now, sitting 6 games below 500, and it seems like they're about to make even more drastic changes soon. DeJounte Murray was brought in 2 years ago to help take them to the next level, but instead, the team has gone backwards, and now Murray is firmly on the trade block again with a good chance of being shipped out. If the return for him in a trade doesn't get the Hawks players that can help them get the team back to the playoffs, then I absolutely agree that we'll probably start hearing a lot of trade rumors surrounding Trae Young this summer. Trae may have his own flaws on the defensive end, but he is without question one of the best playmakers in the entire league, averaging about 28 points and 11 assists per game, and there are contending teams in desperate need of a point guard that would love to have him. We also can't ignore the smaller instances over the last few seasons of Trae reportedly not always seeing eye to eye with his coaches, and there's always been smoke coming out of his camp for a while, even if it hasn't been blatant or obvious. In today's NBA, players are less inclined to stick it out through bad situations than ever before, so expecting Trae to be content with 3 seasons in a row of the Hawks trending in the wrong direction just does not seem reasonable. So even though the trade rumors haven't started to heat up yet, this is definitely a situation to monitor closely. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.